A 20-year-old student at Oxford University has resigned from a number of different student organizations after she confessed to pursuing sexual contact on 2 different occasions without consent. Teriba is the student in question here, and she does say that she's going to seek help from some of her past experiences and some of the past things that she's done wrong. And she wrote the following: "At this year's NUS Black Students Conference, I had sex with someone. The other party later informed me that the sex was not consensual. I failed to properly establish consent before every act." Then she said that that was not an isolated incident. She continued to say, "In a separate incident, in my first year of university, I was alerted to my inappropriate behavior while drunk in a club where I touched somebody in a sexual manner without their consent." Now, let me get this one thing out of the way. I have looked through everything that I possibly could to confirm that she is gay. I haven't gotten any hardcore confirmation on that. However, she is the leader of a lesbian rights organization, or was the leader of a lesbian rights organization at Oxford. And it seems like articles are implying that she's a lesbian. And I just want you guys to know that, okay? So I don't know what her sexuality is, but just know that it's very unsure.
And this whole thing is so lib. Everything in this article, in this situation at Oxford, is so lib that you can't be positive, right?
Yeah.
It's possible that she's straight, but the leader of a lesbian magazine, right?
Yeah.
So now, it doesn't really matter for the purposes of this story. We just want to get all the facts for you guys. Now, what does matter is what she did. Now, we don't know the facts of the specific instances because nobody's talking about them, right? She doesn't mention them. Her victim doesn't mention them. And I hesitate there because I have my issues with this story, okay? So, you know, I think people complain about political correctness too much. 9 out of 10 times it's somebody who's saying, hey, can you be decent to other people and not gratuitously offend them? But sometimes there is political correctness run amok. This is close to that instance.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
See, I would agree with you if I just knew more about this story. Like, so she's very vague about what she did. The victim hasn't come forward to share his or her experiences. I don't know what happened, right? So it's hard for me to say, oh, she's being too politically correct. I do know that in some cases, especially when you're in your early 20s and in college, you get drunk. And what does it mean to ask for consent before every single physical interaction, right? So does that mean that every time I touch someone's shoulder, I have to ask for consent? Every time I kiss someone, I have to ask for consent? Every time I straddle someone, I got to ask for consent? Like, come on.
Definitely the latter.
Okay, fine. Fair enough. Fair enough. But also, what does that mean? Like, does it have to be explicit verbal consent? Do you have to, can I now touch your shoulder? Like, I don't know what happened. Again, I don't know what happened. I don't mean to minimize what allegedly happened to this victim. I just need more details.
Right. And so I want to be clear, too. It might have very well been sexual assault. I mean, she's apologizing for it. Why don't I take her word for it, right? But there are some context clues that make me question the state of affairs overall on college campuses. Now, this happens to be in the UK, right? So, for example, and to be clear, most of those codes, to answer your questions, it's okay to have nonverbal consent.
Yes.
Right? So leaning in for a kiss is nonverbal consent. You don't have to sign a contract for it. So a lot of people like to attack that, but it's most of the time way overblown, right? But if you're drunk and you grab somebody's ass, no, that's too far, right? So you didn't get their consent, you just grabbed their ass or straddled them, right? Now, when everybody's dirty dancing at a frat party, well, the lines aren't so clear, right? So, okay, now, in this particular case, she says, I mean, there's just like little things like, there's apparently things called liberation spaces at Oxford.
I don't know what that
I don't know what they are, right? It just feels like what do we go in there? You are liberated. You are liberated. Okay, now I'm making fun and they're going to hate me for that, and there's probably a good reason for it, but it just sounds super lib. I'm just keeping it real, okay? When she explains what she did, she warns people this could be triggering. Okay, so this is the latest thing on campuses.
Yes.
Anything that could be in any way offensive to anybody on the planet, warning, trigger warning. Come on, we're adults. You don't have to trigger warn me. A 13-year-old isn't reading this, okay? You're on a college campus. We're all adults. I don't need a trigger warning. So they're grating on my nerves at this point, and you could hate me for that, but I'm telling you what I feel, okay? And then But more importantly, to the point of this story, she says, not only did I did not properly establish consent before every act. It depends on where your line is. It depends, right? But she said there that the person complained. She said the other party later informed me that the sex was not consensual. Well, it would have been incumbent on that person to inform you at the time, right? Now, again, there are vague lines there. So that doesn't mean she has to scream, she has to do something physical. No. Of course not, right? But at the same time, I don't know, how much did she not inform you? If you had no idea, you go in for a kiss, she kisses you, you do acts, she does acts, you guys have sex, and then afterwards, the next afternoon, she's like, oh, I forgot to tell you, that wasn't consensual. Oh, no. Okay.
Well, yeah.
So it depends. It depends.
And it also depends on alcohol consumption, right? So if they were both drunk and it turns out that the alleged victim here had so much to drink that they couldn't consent, but the alleged aggressor, was also drunk and didn't really realize that consent wasn't really possible in that situation. I mean, these are all factors that make the situation a lot more complicated, and it's hard to draw conclusions based on her apology letter because, again, it's very vague. You don't know what the details are. You don't know how much alcohol was involved.
And by the way, her fellow libs at Oxford did not accept the apology. They said it was rape apologism. And
it's really interesting.
Right. Yeah. They said that, no, this is no apology for sexual assault. It should have been called what it was, and this is outrageous, and she didn't apologize nearly enough, and we don't accept.
She stepped down from everything that she's doing.
She won't even enter the liberation spaces, whatever they are, right? The liberated spaces, she won't even enter them because she has violated the code. The code, I'm telling you, everything from the story oozes the code might be a little too harsh. Like that, they might have made some of the lines, drawn some of the lines where they shouldn't have drawn the lines. Yeah. Okay, but for the purpose of this particular story, we're going to reiterate for the 18th time, we don't know because we don't know the details of what they did and did not do that day. But I will say this, not about this story, but overall, if you gave nonverbal consent that day and everything was hunky-dory, you don't get to change your mind the next day. That's what infuriates me. And I don't know that happened in this case. But the way she wrote it, and again, it's her perspective, not the victim's perspective. That's really important to remember. The victim might have a completely different perspective on it. But you can't come back the next day, the next week, the next month, and be like, oh, in hindsight, I changed my mind about what happened there, and I've decided that you sexually assaulted me. No way.